US unemployment number has fallen for November, as we've just told you. It remains in double digits, close to the 26-year high that it hit last month. Growing joblessness has for over a year now eaten into the American consumer's ability to spend, with US consumption having been the engine of global growth for a better part of this decade. Has the recession of the last 2 years altered that equation forever? CNBC TV 18 Senthil Chengalvarayan put those questions to Vindy Banga. He's Unilever's president for foods and home and personal care business. That's the HPC business. And here's an excerpt of that exclusive conversation.
Vinny, how scarred is the consumer coming on? I know they're scarred differently in different regions, but just give us your assessment.
Well, if I look to the West, for instance, in North America and Europe, I think the consumer has gone through a fundamental change in the way they think about life.
Okay.
If you go forward, you can see that their incomes are going to be either flat or perhaps even marginally lower than what they were for the future.
Okay.
Now, that's because they were living well beyond their means for a long, long period of time, and finally it's caught up with them.
Okay, how will companies like yours and others have to adjust to that? Because does it mean that the consumer is going to spend differently? They're going to look more for value than premium products? So
you see, what's
the challenge for you?
That consumers are taking different decisions on different parts of their purchases. As far as luxuries are concerned, those are the first things to go.
Okay.
Why is it necessary to change a car every 3 years or 2 years or 4 years? Actually, cars are built for 8 or 10 years. The second type of decisions are lifestyle choices. Do you want to have a Starbucks coffee all the time? Those are expensive coffees. Maybe you'll have it sometimes. Do you want to have a sandwich from a shop, or will you make one at home?
Okay.
So these are choices.
Bar or buy a bottle and take it home.
Yeah. Now, as far as everyday products are concerned, consumer products, they are necessities, and therefore they are the last to be impacted.
Okay.
But overall, what I would say is the consumer is being reset in the way in which he or she lives their life. They are looking for value.
Okay.
They are looking to be careful. They're looking for frugality in a way in which they haven't done so for the last 10, 15 years.
And is that more true of the developed Western markets, or is it equally true of the developing markets?
You see, as far as the developing markets are concerned, consumers have always looked for value.
Okay.
So actually, this is now a situation where the world is coming together. The Western consumer, the developed market consumer, is discovering or rediscovering value. And they are going to be very careful about the relationship between quality and price. As far as the developing market consumer in India and so on go, they have, always
been looking at it. Okay. So you would agree with that lovely phrase that Indira Nooyi used recently, saying that it's now an age of thrift for consumer goods.
It is absolutely, companies will win if they provide true value.
Okay.
And the company that does that the best will win big time.
Okay. I know every company says that they've always provided value, but internally in Unilever, are you looking at brands that perhaps need to be dropped because they're seen as luxury and providing more of a status symbol than actually value?
No, I think what's really important is that we have to constantly invest in product quality. Our products have to be improved all the time.
Okay.
And in our business, improvement happens steadily. It's constant improvement. Very rare in consumer products do you get a disruptive bang. That happens once every 5-10 years.
Okay.
So the emphasis on quality. But let me put it to you this way. For the last 10 years, many people have followed a strategy where they've increased the quality by a little bit and the price by a lot.
Okay.
That game's over.
Okay.
That won't work. Really speaking, what will work very much so is to provide constant improvement in quality and to find new business models, actually, to be very, very effective in the price that you charge.
So volume is not going to matter more than... But the whole world's eyes really are on the US consumer, and he's been pretty scarred, as you said. Do you see him coming back the way he did, or even if not the way he did, at least somewhere near the way he did, that he was in a couple of years ago? And if he doesn't come back, will the rest of the world, especially in China and India and other emerging markets, Japan, be able to compensate for the loss of the US consumer?
See, what is actually happening is that there's a shift happening in the global economy. As far as the Europe and North America is concerned, I think we will see a challenged time for some years to come. I mean, there's a lot of talk about green shoots. I don't understand it. I see in the papers and the news channels. If there are they're without any roots.
Okay.
I can say that.
See, you said
too early.
You said that 2 months ago, and you still hold
I hold that exactly because just think of the substantives. There is consumer debt in these countries, huge. and there is huge government indebtedness.
Okay.
There is unemployment at unprecedented levels and underemployment.
Okay.
So this is not a recipe for an early recovery. It's going to take a lot of time and a lot of pain.
Okay. A lot of pain still.
Yes.
And are there clearly then two different worlds out there? The world in the Western world, which is far bigger, and the emerging market world. Because
yes,
in India we have had that amazing 7.9% increase in GDP. So that proves that something real is happening here.
So there is exactly that situation. In fact, the rest of the world has actually behaved, the economy in the rest of the world has behaved much better than anyone anticipated. And it's interesting, it's for very different reasons. If I look at India, for instance, it's a consumer market. And the domestic market story is strong, which is what has fueled this growth. Of course, supported by the government stimulus, which has gone into actually providing employment and such issues, particularly in rural India. So that's the story. In China, the government seems to be re-ruddering the economy from being an export-led economy to becoming a domestic market. And they are purposefully spending their stimuli package, which, by the way, is very, very significant, very similar to the US, on an economy that's 1/4 or 1/5 the size. That's what they're doing. And you can see that the economy is responding. Brazil, on the other hand, different story. That economy has also come back. They're insulated against the oil price because of biofuels. They again have changed their trading partners. The biggest trading partner for Brazil is now China. So what you see is all these markets, for very different reasons, but behaving much more positively than anyone said.
Okay. Before I get back to the Indian the economy, the number that we've seen, you touched upon oil prices. You said Brazil is insulated. The rest of the world is not. You are a company that's also a large consumer. Will this huge spike that we've seen in oil and other commodities derail any kind of nascent recovery even before it happens?
Well, first of all, I think we have to see whether this spurt that we are seeing in commodity prices, how substantive is it?
Okay.
Because it is reaching levels where the economic activity is much lower around the world.
Completely.
So it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I think we have to wait and see whether this is speculation, which eventually will break, or indeed whether this is...
Will it break, or will it break the economic recovery before it breaks?
No, I think the fundamentals in the markets that I've just described are still strong.
Okay.
And therefore those fundamentals will continue to drive the economies in Brazil, China, India, Vietnam, Indonesia, etc.
Okay. So in other words, you're saying that what we're seeing in commodities, what we're seeing at oil at $75, that's back to levels of 3 years ago with far less robust economic activity, is speculative but nothing to worry about because it will correct itself. Are you hopeful, or do you think it'll happen?
No, I think what we have seen is that the world and companies have learned to live with this degree of volatility. We have experienced volatility in the last 18 months and 2 years, and businesses have learned how to deal with it and how to move and actually continue to build their market positions with it.
Okay, so you're not too worried by the spike in commodity prices?
I'm concerned about it. It's always relevant to be concerned, but I do not believe that it will derail markets or derail the economy.
That was Windy Banga speaking with Senthil on the sidelines of last night's India Business Leader Awards. Mr. Banga was a winner.